Hello, I'm Tillman, the only guy on the internet that doesn't know everything, and welcome to the Anniversary Show, where I celebrate an album that was released 10, 20, or 30 years ago. And today we're talking about rap music by Killer Mike. While I have your attention, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and leave a comment. Don't forget to check out my other shows, Never Heard It, where I talk about classic albums that I never got around to listening to, and It's Been a While, where I talk about albums that I loved as a kid, but for whatever reason I stopped listening to them. All right, let's get into rap music. Rap music, which is a backronym for Rebellious African People, was released on May 15, 2012. It was released 1 week before LP's Cancer for Cure on William Street Records. William Street Records is an Atlanta-based record label that is basically the music arm of the Cartoon Network, specifically Adult Swim. Run the Jewels was actually created when the label's founder Jason DeMarco worked with both artists individually, and in a genius move realized that LP and Killer Mike were a perfect match. So all the RTJ fans out there, we have Jason DeMarco to thank. It was hard for me to decide between talking about rap music or Cancer for Cure because I'm a big fan of both albums, but because rap music is my favorite Killer Mike album and because Cancer for Cure is second only to I'll Sleep When You're Dead, I decided to go with Killer Mike. And because this album came first, it's historic because it contains the first official release of a Run the Jewels song, but we'll talk about that in a minute. First, let's see what else happened in May. Bill Withers' Still Bill was released on May 1st, 1972. Gang Starr's Daily Operation was released on May 5th, 1992. Musiq Soulchild's Just Listen was released on May 7th, 2002. Cameron's Come Home With Me and LP's Fantastic Damage were both released on May 14th, 2002. Eminem's The Eminem Show was released on May 26, 2002. Ab-Soul's Control System was released on May 11, 2012, and LP's Cancer for Cure was released on May 22, 2012. The first song on this album, the first single, and coincidentally the first Run the Jewels release was Big Beast featuring T.I. and Bun B. On Killer Mike's first album, Monster, there was a remix of the song Action called Reaction that also featured T.I. and Bun B, so I guess this would be the remix. LP has said that his influence for this beat was Fred Wesley's sample that Public Enemy used for Public Enemy No. 1, Blow Your Head, as well as Schoolie D's PSK. Killer Mike also pays homage to 80s hip-hop legends by referencing KRS-One's My 9mm Go Bang and Def Jam circa 1983. The extended version of this video includes car chases, cannibal strippers, and Killer Mike cutting someone's tongue out, so if you've never seen it, you should. The second song and single on the album is Untitled. Killer Mike has said that he left the song untitled because of his concern of being put on a government watch list. This is a concern that appears on a lot of his work, but it's pretty clear that he's not afraid of it. If that were true, he wouldn't have named one of the songs on this album Reagan, but more on that in a minute. Go is just an insane freestyle in which he makes reference to tons of West Coast legends like NWA, JJ Fad, and Miss Chalet, and one reference to Jay-Z for good measure. Southern Fried is straight hip-hop told from a Southerner's point of view. It also marks the first time Killer Mike ever sung a hook. JoJo's Chillin' is Mike indulging in some good old storytelling, and it even gets a little meta with the story including an appearance from Ghostface Killah, who is one of hip-hop's greatest storytellers. The centerpiece of this album is both literally and figuratively Reagan. In case you have any questions about where Killer Mike stands on social-political issues, this song should clear up any doubts. He told Spin magazine in 2012 that he literally threw a barbecue when Reagan died. He also went on to say that, "I don't care too much for any political party, I care about people." Under Reagan, drugs were allowed to flood our community and wipe out 2 or 3 generations of people that could have helped our community grow, and I take exception with that. And if you're familiar with the work of LP, you can see why these guys are such good friends. Don't Die is Killer Mike back in storyteller mode, and it feels like he's referencing Black Still in an Hour of Chaos by Public Enemy. This was apparently the third single from this album, but it never got a video. Ghetto Gospel was the fourth single, and it has one of the most interesting allusions to a dream deferred. In verse 2, he says, "Looking at the bezel of my Breitling, thinking that I used to sell raps for enlightenment. Now I got lapped by them guys selling lies for the white man. Now I sell pies for the white man. And my tour bus is a moving indictment." This must be how Huey felt when the revolution fell and an Oakland nigga turned him on to a sack of Yale. Now I'm not going to name names, but plenty of rappers have told us about how their albums didn't sell and then they went back to selling drugs in between albums. Now more often than not, they're bragging about it. But in reality, it's really heartbreaking. The thing that was supposed to provide some stability for you and your family didn't pan out, and now you have to go back to risking your life and harming your community. And he compares that to how Huey P. Newton felt when the revolution didn't go as planned and he became addicted to drugs. That's a lot to take in. And when you really sit back and think about it, it's really gut-wrenching. Next up is Butane, which is the first Run the Jewels song that was released with both LP and Killer Mike rapping. Tougher, Colder Killer from Cancer for Cure was released exactly 1 week later. On this song, Mike says the only rapper that could beat him is a resurrected Eazy-E, rapping over a beat by LP, spitting a verse that was ghostwritten by him, T.I., and Ice Cube, which is pretty unlikely. Anywhere But Here is a love-hate letter to both New York and Atlanta, both cities that are brimming with opportunity and oppression. The hook is sung by comedian Emily Panic, who would eventually marry LP. In this song, Mike answers the question posed by Langston Hughes: what happened when a dream is deferred? The answer: kills itself. Willie Burke Sherwood is named after Killer Mike's grandfather, who died 9 years before this album was released. On the album cover, you can see the words, "Readers of the books and leaders of the crooks," lyrics that were taken from this song. The title track is about experiencing black music as religion, and by extension, appreciating all the cultural contributions black Americans have added to this country. This collaboration between Killer Mike and LP was a collaboration that I didn't know I needed. On paper, I didn't know how it would work, but once I heard it, I had no further questions. In the decade before this, hip-hop was shying away from social commentary, and people who were fans of artists like Public Enemy, BDP, and Rage Against the Machine were kind of left out in the cold. And rap music, along with Cancer for Cure, were albums that brought that back to the forefront. So, happy anniversary to rap music. Catch me next time where I talk about The Idler Wheel is Wiser Than the Driver of the Screw, and Whipping Chords Will Serve You More Than Ropes Will Ever Do by Fiona Apple. This is Free Tillman, the only guy on the internet that doesn't know everything. Peace.